On today's episode of Locked On Oilers, we break down the stellar start from Stuart Skinner as the Edmonton Oilers push past the St. Louis Blues. Plus, could that appearance cause a little bit more of a goalie controversy in the crease for the Oilers? All that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Oilers podcast. I'm your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. On today's episode, we're going to break down the massive 3-1 victory for the Edmonton Oilers as they win their first game on the road this season, thanks to a stellar start from Stuart Skinner. Also on today's episode, we are going to talk about how that stellar start from Stuart Skinner kind of starts to boil the water in the crease between Jack Campbell and Skinner. We will talk about a little later on that battle, and we will of course go through the good, the bad, and the ugly from the game against the Blues. All that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. Alrighty, let's start off with the game tonight as the Edmonton Oilers, just a massive back and forth game, a great game, to be honest with you. Just again, back and forth. The Blues took over that second period from the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers had a massive first period. They started on time, and that was the biggest thing for the Oilers. As Jesse Puljujarvi scored his first goal of the season. For a little while, it seemed like it was Darnell Nurse's, but on a second, third, fourth, a lot of looks, Jesse Puljujarvi gets the tip in goal there as the Edmonton Oilers actually outshot the St. Louis Blues in the first period 11-6. Very good period for them, and the biggest thing for them again is starting games on time, and that's what they got from that's what they got today. A very good flow to start the game. They were very on top of it. The first 5 minutes were crucial for them, and they were able to keep running their lines, keep rolling their lines, get everybody out there, and really start and establish a flow. As mentioned, Stuart Skinner with a massive 37 saves, facing 38 shots. He had a .974 save percentage in that game, and realistically, all of those goals other than the empty netter was batted out of the air. None of them were actually shot past a goaltender that beat the goaltender. There we go. They were all Jesse Puljujarvi's shot or goal was a deflection off of a Darnell Nurse shot. The goal from the St. Louis Blues was a deflection all over the place. A lucky goal, really, for the St. Louis Blues as Ryan O'Reilly gets his first point of the season, his first goal of the season as well, obviously, with it being his first point of the season. And then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' goal as well was batted out of thin air. That beat Binnington too. It just that was what it was going to take in that kind of game, and you got that sense from the game on the weekend as well. A low-scoring game, a game where both teams, were let. Really, they were able to go out there and play. They were just out there, and the ref didn't put any constraints on the game and let the players figure out the solution of this game. And that was what was really nice. In tonight's game, there were some calls, not some calls that I think were ticky-tack, but there were just more calls than the last game, but it didn't ruin the game at all. The flow of the game was a fantastic, best game of the year so far for the Edmonton Oilers. In regards to that, I would say, maybe more in regards to the flow of the game. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would score the game-winning goal in the third period as he scores his 200th career goal. That's crazy. It's crazy to think how long ago RNH was drafted, and even Stuart Skinner brought it up in his post game interview with Gene Principe. He was one of those kids in the stands going "Nuge" whenever he would score, and now they're teammates, and that's you tell the story of time right there. The first story of the game and the first star of the game is Stuart Skinner and the game-winning goal, reaching a milestone in with his 200th goal of the season. Lifelong Edmonton Oiler Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So a really good game had by all for the Oilers. A very strong defensive game for them. A couple of turnovers that you'd like to see cut down. Honestly, Stuart Skinner did save the hide of a couple players at times. Evan Bouchard had a little bit of a offensively invisible game, but he wasn't fantastic in his own end as well. Sometimes he got beat. He wasn't fantastic with the puck. The Edmonton Oilers also, because Evan Bouchard is the third, has the third most hits, for the Edmonton Oilers this year. They were out hit by the St. Louis Blues tonight, 21-8. 21-8. Maybe a reason why the Edmonton Oilers weren't really able to run away with it, because in every other game this season, the Edmonton Oilers have out-hit their opposition. Now in this game, a game that has been was very tightly contested, they get out-hit, and they get out-hit by a lot. 21-8 there. But in the end, it didn't matter, as Connor McDavid did find Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for that game-winning goal. As Connor McDavid, breaks his 2-game pointless streak in a massive 3-1 win for the Edmonton Oilers. Zach Hyman also finding 2 assists in that game. He jumps to third on the team in points so far this season with 8. That's Zach Hyman, just a quietly consistent player, and again, reaping the fruits of his labor again in this game. One more note, I guess, in this game as well, I would say Warren Fogle had a very good game as well. Good pace. He was all over the place. Got credited with an assist in the Jesse Puljujarvi goal. And again, just a very solid game for him there, and a game that he needed to have. A big game had by all the Edmonton Oilers forwards, most of the Edmonton Oilers defense, I should say. And of course, wrapped up on with a bow by Stuart Skinner. So a massive win for the Edmonton Oilers. And again, a massive, massive win because of Stuart Skinner. And now, because of that win, another fantastic, stable game from Stuart Skinner. Highlights a couple of the not so fantastic games from Jack Campbell, at least statistically, and from what a lot of people like to mention. So, does this continue to keep the pot hot for the Edmonton Oilers in the crease? Is there still a little bit of a question mark behind who should be starting for the Edmonton Oilers? We will discuss that in just a second, but first, I want to tell you about our partners over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every game out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB. As mentioned, the NBA season is off to their start. The NHL, obviously, you got to take a look at the Edmonton Oilers. I told my buddy, everybody was saying, oh, Ryan O'Reilly doesn't have any points this year. And I messaged my buddy, who I know throws a couple on every Oilers game, said, hey, take a look at Ryan O'Reilly, because I can guarantee it's not going to go his way And then the Edmonton Oilers, he always scores against the Edmonton Oilers. He's an Oilers killer. And then guess what? He scored the lone St. Louis Blues goal. And he didn't listen to me. So you're welcome. So I should be throwing up the BetOnline odds here. Anyways, they also have MMA, golf, and boxing, UFC, all of those, any sport you can find on there as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen today. For your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter to the most, the games that matter the most, to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app and YouTube and wherever you find your podcasts. Alrighty, I needed a goaltender to save me from that save there or that blunder there. And the Edmonton Oilers have maybe a little bit of a goalie controversy. Maybe not. But Stuart Skinner with his third straight fantastic outing for the Edmonton Oilers this season. And I don't want to start a controversy because I don't think there is one. We're only 7 games into the season. But Stuart Skinner stole another game for the Edmonton Oilers. And his last game against the Buffalo Sabres, he was fantastic in as well. I don't want to say Eric Comrie outplayed him because that would infer that Comrie or Stuart Skinner had a bad game, but he had a good game, and Eric Comrie just won out in that game. But Stuart Skinner, 37 saves on 38 shots tonight against the St. Louis Blues. The game against the Buffalo Sabres, Stuart Skinner kept him in that game as well. He came in relief against the Calgary Flames, and 31 saves in that one technically was a shutout. For him, 31 saves on 31 shots against the Flames, kept the Oilers in that one too, and now he gets his first win of the season against the St. Louis Blues. Start to wonder. Start to feel a little more comfortable. Stuart Skinner in the net. A 956, a 956 save percentage for him so far this season. He stopped 88 shots of 92 against. And heading into tonight's game against the St. Louis Blues, he had a goals against average of a 1.69, which is probably going to improve after tonight's game too. Meanwhile, Jack Campbell, yes, he's been, I think, a victim of slow starts in the games that he started against or started in. And I don't mean from him, I mean more from the team in front of him. Take a look at the Calgary game, the game that he got pulled in. I don't think any of those 4 goals were on Jack Campbell. Yes, he got beat by that Michael Stone shot, but that was a fantastic shot. A breakaway for Nazem Kadri as well, which he was a loner. Is it a loner? I'm like, a goner. He was a goner after Brett Kulak blew a tire. He made the initial save on the first and fourth goal of the game for the Calgary Flames. And the defenseman just straight up didn't clear out the front of the net, got outmanned, and the puck went into the net. He was pulled in that game, not because he was bad, but because the Edmonton Oilers needed a wake-up call, and he had to be the scapegoat. He got pulled, and as soon as he gets pulled, that's Jay Woodcroft going, look what you guys did. Jack Campbell now has to face the fire and take the blame because you guys aren't playing in front of him. I don't think that game was on him. But that's hockey. That's what happens with starting goaltenders and hockey. The other thing about Jack Campbell is, yes, you take a look at the .895 save percentage and the 3.62 goals against average. I would say, again, a lot of that is on the defenseman for most of those goals against, more specifically. But Jack Campbell's also made the saves that he's needed to. Jack Campbell has kept the Edmonton Oilers in every single game so far, with the exception of the Calgary game where Stuart Skinner stood up and said, hey, you know what? I'll try and keep you in this game. I'll do my best after coming in a 4-1 game. And he did. And the Edmonton Oilers lost by 1 goal, but still, in every game so far, other than the Pittsburgh Penguins game, it's been a 1-goal game with an empty netter. So that's why I say I don't want to cause controversy, because, again, Jack Campbell has been in those. You take a look at the numbers on the surface and you go, oh, those aren't great. Those are also numbers from the first 5 games of the season, a little bit of a tough stretch. But again, he's made those saves when he needs to, has been in those 1-goal games, which could have gone either way. Do I think the Edmonton Oilers have a controversy or need to make a change or need to play Stuart Skinner even more than they plan to? No. Mostly not yet, but I say no. And when I say not yet, I think I don't want to say I don't trust Jack Campbell. That is not the way that I'm going. Where I'm going with this is, you know what, if Stuart Skinner is going to keep you in games and play that well all the time, then there's no reason for you not to play him. Why not have a 1A, 1B when that could feasibly work? I don't know. just the fact that Stuart Skinner has been able to have the start of the season that he's had, as Jay Woodcroft has said, and I have beat this to a pulp, is first world problems. Again, nothing wrong with the start of the season. To me, for Jack Campbell so far, made the saves that he needs to, and that is the most important thing for a goaltender. So, might as well have the conversation to have the conversation. Let's go into the good, the bad, and the ugly from tonight's game against the St. Louis Blues, as it was one of the best games of the season so far, if not the best game of the season, just in regards to entertainment-wise as well. But just, again, the Edmonton Oilers played so well, especially in every zone, really. So we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from the St. Louis game in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our partners over at SimpliSafe. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. I know, because I use SimpliSafe at my own home. They protect you with cutting-edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in case of an emergency, even if you're not home or if you cannot be reached. SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, with HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alerts you when a threat is real. And they even have hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Our monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so you can get the highest priority police dispatch. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Alrighty, and moving on to the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Edmonton Oilers win over the St. Louis Blues 3-1. It was a great game for the Oilers, especially the first period, I should say. Second period, not so much, but that third period really shut it down and really won the game. They did win the game in that third period, obviously, as they got that game-winning goal from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. But again, their shutdown play in their own end leads to the offense and the attack and the game-winning goal. So let's get into the good from the win against the Blues, and that's the special teams. Yes, the Edmonton Oilers did go 0 for 2 on the power play, but that was the best movement and pressure that I've seen from the Edmonton Oilers power play all season. It was horrifying. The St. Louis Blues penalty killers are going to be thinking about that penalty or that power play in their sleep tonight. They are going to be the most lucid dreams they have ever had in their life, thinking that they are defending Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Evan Bouchard, and take your pick of Zach Hyman, Evander Kane. Oh, and Tyson Barrie, sorry. They are going to think all 7 of those players are in their room right there and surrounding their bed, moving the puck like they have never seen before in a cycle that is only fit for a United down on 82nd. That is how crazy that power play was today. And you know what? It really made me eat my words from a couple of days ago where I said, you know what? I think this power play unit needs a wake-up call. And you know what? This was the best look they have had so far. And again, the special teams in general. I think the penalty kill looked as good as it has all season too. Yes, they let in the goal for the St. Louis Blues, the lone goal for the St. Louis Blues. But it was a lucky deflection. It just happened to... no particular reason, I would say, or no one's real fault. That puck went in, so you can brush it by. The Edmonton Oilers won the game on a fantastic penalty kill where they got a couple of 2-on-1s. They had a lot of chances. They were able to move the puck and have a transition game while being shorthanded. And of course, Stuart Skinner. You need your goaltender to be your best penalty killer, and Stuart Skinner was just that. So applause to the Edmonton Oilers special teams today. Yes, they didn't score on the power play, but still, it just really took over the game and set a tone for the rest of the game as well. Not only for the Edmonton Oilers, not only for the St. Louis Blues too, but for the forecheck of the Edmonton Oilers, the cycle game of the Edmonton Oilers, and just what the St. Louis Blues were really getting ready for in that game. The bad from the game against the St. Louis Blues is Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner is a bad man. 37 saves on 38 shots for Skinner, and that goal was really not his fault again. Just a couple of deflections. Went off Ryan O'Reilly, just happened to find its way into the back of the net. Can't really fault Stuart Skinner there. He really won the game for the Oilers as well. 29 of those saves coming at even strength, and 7 of them coming on that penalty kill or in shorthanded fashion. Again, you need him to be your best penalty killer, and he was that. A .974 save percentage for him in tonight's game. What else can you say about Stuart Skinner? Hopefully he can continue that for his next start, whenever that may be. And the ugly for the game against the St. Louis Blues is the second period shots against. Again, 20-6 the shots against for the Edmonton Oilers, as that was when they allowed the St. Louis Blues back into the game. They were lucky. They had Stuart Skinner in the net, as he really denied the St. Louis Blues from coming back into that game. Yes, they tied the game very late with 5 seconds to go in the second period. But other than that, the Edmonton Oilers really had a good game. But again, they allowed them. That goal was because of the amount of shots they allowed. And again, also, how many shots they didn't have on Jordan Binnington. Only firing 6 on Binnington in the second period. They have to be better in that second period. Again, that trend of not really playing a full 60 minutes continued for the Oilers. They had a fantastic first, a fantastic third, but they didn't have that second period. Almost cost them, but thanks to the fantastic Stuart Skinner, they do come away with the 2 points. So again, the good from tonight's game, special teams, as the Edmonton Oilers, yes, they go 0-2 on the power play, but the best puck movement they've had all year, 2 for 3 on the penalty kill as well, and the only goal on the power play for the Blues was a fluke. The bad from the game is Stuart Skinner, as he is a bad man, as he gets his first win of the season with 37 saves. And the ugly is the second period shot differential. We are going to wrap it up there, as I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen today. For your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions with big game recaps and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. A massive 3-2 win for the Edmonton Oilers in St. Louis in their first away game of the season. They're in Chicago tomorrow night, and we will have a preview with Jack from Locked On Blackhawks for that game tomorrow. What a game for Stuart Skinner, as he gets his first win of the season. A fantastic game all around. Thankfully for the Edmonton Oilers tonight, we can play La Bamba, baby.